So I'm literally in love with this new anime called Solo Leveling. So it's based off a South Korean webcomic. Webcomics are just taking the world by storm the way manga did. Typically, webcomics are colored, and the format is a little bit different than manga. But and you don't necessarily get the same kind of detail, but they're absolutely really interesting, and a lot of them are becoming being turned into animes, which is insane. So Solo Leveling is one of those, and it is absolutely brilliant. I've been loving it. I've been watching it on Crunchyroll. The animation is just unbelievable.
This is such a good scene for soul leveling. Like, dedicating pretty much an entire episode for this fight. Honestly, I needed it. I needed it. Especially because it's like last week's episode was a lot of exposition and a lot of build up for this episode. And my oh my, did they freaking deliver? Like they straight up they delivered a quality episode of Solo Leveling, and there's a lot of character development and characterization even on display with this episode. And I think the way it is giving these details to Jinwo, it's just doing it in such a better way, in my personal opinion, than the webcomic did. And I've been kind of singing the praises of Solo Leveling for weeks now. Like, I've been talking about the anime and just how, in general, the anime really is just so much better than the webcomic. I'm not talking about the light novel, obviously. Just in terms of, like, the added anime original content to the way, obviously, the animation looks. I mean, that's a big detail with the music and the voice acting as well. It is just, it's so good, man. Now, I want to get into a few things that this episode did, and I think that it is very important to talk about because, for one, Soul Leveling did cut some content this week, and I do think that it's fair I mention it since obviously I was quick to praise, with the added content of anime original content. I should also mention when something is technically cut. And in this case, this episode cut a certain sequence at the end of the episode where basically Jin Wo was supposed to drag an individual into the boss room and have them pretty much fight it and then die, and then he proceeds to fight the boss. Basically just to showcase, like, yeah, I don't care about your life, so to speak. There's a lot more to it than that, but that obviously was completely cut with this episode. It was supposed to happen, but it didn't, because obviously the ending of the episode skips past the whole boss. We don't get to see it, so it pretty much showcases that, yeah, they cut a scene. Now, why would they do this? Well, it goes along with the overarching theme of what this episode and the previous episodes have kind of been about with Jinwo's character, and I think that it's very important to really discuss why it was cut. So, this episode obviously wanted to highlight that the stronger our main character gets, the more detached and disconnected he gets from everyone else. And I think that this is a very fascinating take. It reminds me a lot of, like, let's say, One Punch Man. It's a conversation that is brought up if anyone wants to discuss One Punch Man's story of Saitama, that Saitama as a character is incredibly powerful. All it takes is, like, someone not to ground him in reality. Like, if he loses anything that grounds him in reality, he'll automatically become something that is a monster, where he just doesn't look at humans the exact same way. Obviously, One Punch Man does have a serious story with some comedy elements, and you could look past all the serious stuff as well, but it kind of tells a very similar thing, is that Saitama could easily become detached from everybody because of how strong he is. So when you take a hard look at, like, for instance, Jinwo in this episode, he's in a very similar circumstance. For instance, he's getting stronger and stronger, and the stronger he gets as a hunter, the more bosses he kills, and the more people he's forced to take down because the system tells him to, the more he loses his humanity. What made him human to begin with and grounded in reality is just slipping away from him, which makes perfect sense. As an individual, if you're someone that, is just gaining more and more power, and as you continue gaining power and you're able to do things that are just effortlessly, like nothing, eventually you're just gonna slowly not, like, be able to think in the same wavelength as probably everyone else because you're just so overwhelmingly powerful. And it's gonna happen. It's gonna desensitize you and everything. This is just common human nature, honestly, that works with the psyche. So, Jinwo as a character, he's, actually going through that. He even mentions it. It's like he feels like he's just being slowly ripped apart. And I love the characters, like the support characters, analyzing Jinwo and talking about that in this episode, saying like, oh wow, thanks to him being in a lot of life or death situations, with the first episode and second episode to, what's happened as of late in these past few episodes, it's caused him to just slowly be forced into a mental breakdown, so to speak, to where he just shuts off emotions. He just flips a kill switch, so to speak, and he's able to, get rid of people if he needs to get rid of them. Now, one other thing I do want to talk about as well is that he talks about how he can no longer be angry. Like when he's in the middle of this fight and he's trying,
like, how could anyone, how can this thing even do all of this? And you're like, wow, how can he stand up to it? It is just, it's that level of absolute brilliance and wonder. And that's something that I feel like that's something that we've lost in a lot of animes where they're so predictable, or it's like, we've seen this. It's like, okay, yeah, we've seen this before. We've seen him fight, seen this type of thing before, but I've never seen this before. This level of like, whoa, he literally was like took on like a Cerebus by himself, and this thing was like going just Dragon Ball Z on it. I mean, it's an amazing thing for me personally, and I feel like more animes are just going to continue going in this direction. Hopefully, we have such a high level coming from South Korea. I mean, it's redefining what anime really is, what counts as anime, and I think that it's good for the entire industry. I think it's good for fans, and I think that, and unfortunately, the stories we're getting was he is the goat, he is that guy, he is that dog. I tell you guys, I literally love it. I love this anime so much, and I truly believe that it. Like I said, it definitely has those Dragon Ball vibes in it. Have you watched Solo Leveling? Like, what are your thoughts? Is this something that you're gonna want to check out? Let me know what you guys think regarding everything we discussed. Let's talk about it further in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video and share.